to truly live a life of freedom, of joy, of happiness, of growth, of transformation, of abundance, of everything you've been dreaming of, you're gonna say this one sentence, these 5 words. You're gonna say, I recently did a post on my Facebook page, which if you aren't friends with me on Facebook, you should hop on Facebook and friend request me or go to my business page, because that's really where I post a big portion of my content. But I did a post that had a lot of feedback, some questions, a lot of engagement, and so I thought it was a perfect opportunity to expand on that in an actual YouTube video. So this week I really want to talk about the one sentence, the 5 words that will fundamentally transform and shift your life. It will bring all of the knowledge, all of the spiritual knowledge that you have, and this one sentence, these 5 words, will actually help you integrate and apply it in an everyday scenario. When I stepped into my first sort of spiritual community, I didn't have any knowledge of spiritual principles. I didn't know anything about it. I came from a background that I really didn't ever resonate with religion. I knew that was not something that felt right to me. However, I always knew I had some sort of connection to what I call God, but I never had a framework for it. I never had anything that told me what that should or could or would look like. I really had no framework for it. So when I stepped into the first spiritual community, it was all brand new. And the spiritual community I stepped into was really about energy. It was really about thoughts become things. It was really about everything you see outside of you is just a reflection of the inside of you. So when I entered into that space, when I entered in that community, I was going to a lot of these workshops, and I saw this really common theme that people would go to these amazing events and they would have profound shifts. They would connect with source. They'd have these mystical experiences. They'd have these amazing healings. And then they would go home and nothing would change in their life. And so they would just keep coming back to these events to sort of use as a escape. And so their spiritual self, their spiritual side was never fully integrated into their everyday life. In other words, they were keeping that part of them separate. And so it was as if their spirituality was one aspect of who they are, but then they had to live their normal everyday 3D lives and never really integrating all of this into that. And so of course nothing would change in their life because nothing changed in their life. They never did the full integration. And so I saw this as a repeating pattern. I, however, was making these really massive shifts in my life. And so I had to take a look at what am I doing that's different? What are like the baby steps that I'm doing? What are these little things that I feel like are really making profound shifts in my life that maybe everyone else isn't doing? I was just sort of following intuitively what I felt like would create these changes in my life. And lo and behold, now 6 years later, I have an actual program, an actual blueprint, an actual course to walk people through the same exact steps that I walked through and integrating breathwork into that, because that was really what I found with a huge missing piece was it wasn't just about meditation. Meditation is for the mind, but breathwork is for the body. And if you're not engaging the body, then you're not going to be able to integrate it. You're going to stay stuck up in these upper chakras, in your crown, in your third eye. You're going to spiritually bypass. You're not going to deal with any of the deeply rooted stuff that's in the way. And so, of course, nothing's going to change. You're just going to keep going to that and then hoping that will change and wishing that will change while not actually making the steps necessary to make the changes. And breathwork, as I said, is a really, really, really big tool in that because you're engaging the body. So I saw people doing this early on in my journey, and I realized that that was why they weren't fully integrating that into their life. And so one of the beliefs that's really big in an esoteric, metaphysical, spiritual communities is that you create your reality, or thoughts or things. They're not just esoteric and spiritual wisdom. They actually now are scientific. When you look at quantum physics, you look at the double slit, you look at quantum theory, there's so much science. There's a man I follow called Don Hoffman. He created this amazing mathematical problem that he solved that said there is 0% chance that we actually perceive reality as it is, like 0% chance. If we believe in evolution theory, then there is no way that we're seeing reality as it is. So scientifically, they've also proven, as I said, check out the double slit. It's an amazing experiment that has just confuse the hell out of scientists because it shows the effect our thoughts have on things. And so that is a really common theme or a common belief. It's something that I live by, and not just because somebody told me, it's because I've experienced the depths of that so many times in my life and to such deep extents that I can't deny that. So with that theory, thoughts are things, becomes the second part of that, which is you are the creator. You create your reality based on your perceptions, specifically based on the first 7 years of your life. That is when your brain is literally getting imprinted. Your brain is like a sponge. It's in a low brainwave state, a hypnotic brainwave state, basically. And so everything around you, you are picking up, and it is becoming your belief system. Your brain is getting programmed as an identity that you then play out for the rest of your life. And if you're not conscious to that subconscious programming and imprinting, you just keep playing out the same thing over and over and over again, thinking that it's the outside world that's creating all sorts of terrible things in your life, when really it's all the subconscious shit that you have going on in your mind and all the stored and suppressed energy and trauma in your body. And so you have to look at those first 7 years in how you create your reality. I call that the default self. That's what we call it within the program, the default self. That is what's created in those first 7 years. And because your subconscious beliefs are what are always going to show up for you, your mind is always confirming beliefs you have. So if you have a subconscious belief, and when I say subconscious, I mean 95% of what is happening is going on in the background. Your conscious mind is only 5%. So people ask, why is it hard to change? Well, you're going up against 95% of the subconscious mind. You don't have access. You don't have regular conscious access to that. You only use 5% of your conscious brain. So if you say, I want abundance in my life, I am a creator, I am abundant, but you have this subconscious belief that money's hard to come by, or that you'll never be worthy of money, or that you'll never be rich, or any belief you have about rich people, if you believe that rich people are bad people, that subconscious belief will always block you from having abundance, because your reality is always going to confirm your beliefs. And so what that means is you create reality based upon that default self. But more importantly, when we dive deeper into this, what we talk about in the spiritual world and the metaphysical world and the self-help world or personal development is that you create your reality, that you are not a victim to your life, you are the creator. There are so many amazing spiritual teachers out there with so much wisdom to offer that talk about this, that talk about, if you listen to Abraham Hicks, this is one of Abraham Hicks's biggest things, is you're not a victim in your life, you're always the creator. It's always attraction. You're always pulling to you what you are attracting, meaning whatever vibration or frequency is happening on the inside, whatever beliefs you have on the inside, that's exactly what's going to show up for you, meaning you are the creator of your life. Radical responsibility, meaning your life, you have to be radically responsible for it, accepting everything that shows up for you. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road, and this is what I talked about in the post. And this is fundamentally a huge shift. I promise you, if you use these 5 words as one sentence, this is really where you'll start to see big shifts in your life. The problem is people going to all these workshops, people stuck up in the crown, people thinking, yes, I create my reality, I know I'm the creator of my reality. But the moment something undesirable shows up, or someone says something to them they don't like, or something happens at work, or someone cuts you off in traffic, or a bill shows up, or something happens that makes you not feel really good, that is the moment they draw the line in the sand. Now, I talk a lot about this, that line in the sand, because you can believe you create your reality, but for most people, they draw a line in the sand and they're not even conscious of that, which means they're only believing they're creating their reality to a certain point. And that is what stops them from ultimately creating the life that they want, that they dream of, that they desire, that they know they deserve to have, is because they stop being the creator at some point wherever they draw that line in the sand. And usually that's when something bad happens. Usually that's when something shows up and they're like, oh, I'm the creator of my reality, but I didn't create that. I did not create. There's no way that I created that. I can manifest things, but I didn't create that. But if you believe you create your reality, there is no line in the sand. You create everything that shows up, good and bad. Now, that's hard for a lot of people to accept, because they think, you're saying that I am the one that created this person to show up and treat me so terribly. What I'll say is your default self is. Your default self is attracting that to you, but it's an opportunity. If we look at it as a bad thing and through the eyes of a victim consciousness, then we can never truly take radical responsibility and change our life, because then we will always be dependent on someone or something outside of you to change to make you feel different on the inside. But if you learn how to self-regulate and you understand that everything that is showing up for you is because of some vibration or some belief you have going on inside of you, you learn how to self-regulate and change those subconscious beliefs, learn how to change your vibration and your frequency, then everything will still be a reflection of that, but it will be a reflection of what you're doing on the inside. And so all of these things that show up for us that we don't like are opportunities. They're gold mines. That I always say, you never want to avoid a trigger, ever. Because triggers show you where you still have work to do. Triggers show you where you are limiting yourself. And if you don't see those triggers, then you're not going to be able to work on them and get rid of them. And these things will continue to show up in your life and you'll continue to be a victim to them. So in saying that, this one sentence is what is going to make a huge difference. I'm going to expand upon this one sentence in a little bit, but I want you to know that if you truly believe you are the creator of your life, if you truly want to become the creator of your life in every way, shape, or form, to truly live a life of freedom, of joy, of happiness, of growth, of transformation, of abundance, of everything you've been dreaming of, then you have to take radical responsibility for everything that shows up, good or bad, so that you can open the invitation to look at what still needs to be worked on inside. So what this looks like in an everyday practical way, let's say you all of a sudden come across some money. Money is always an easy one to use because everyone relates to that. And you get like a sum in your bank account and you're getting excited and you're like, oh my gosh, I've never had this much money. Like, what am I gonna do with it? Blah, blah, you get all excited. And then all of a sudden an unexpected bill shows up. Something happens, someone messed up, this bill shows up, it's gonna take a big chunk of that money that you have in there. Now, most people will say, I did not create that end. There is no way that I created it because I don't want lack. Consciously you don't, but subconsciously you have blocks that believe that you can never have an abundance of money in your bank account. And so you did create this, you just created it unconsciously. It's not like you're doing this consciously. It's why they call it subconscious. It's why they call it blind spots, because this is all happening in the background outside of your awareness. And so if you can stop when that happens, pause, take a breath, you're gonna feel the emotion. The most important thing is that you don't get wrapped up into it. In other words, you don't believe all the stories that your mind's telling you about this event. You can feel the emotions and not be attached to the story. And you're gonna pause and you're gonna let yourself feel the emotion, not get attached to the story. And you're gonna say this one sentence, these 5 words. You're gonna say, what is this in me? What is this in me? Those are the 5 most powerful words that you can use when you're creating change in your life and you're really, really, really wanting to apply everything that you're learning. Because this right here is your kingdom to heaven. This is your keys to your own personal freedom. Because if that happens, and you can ask yourself that, you can go on a deep exploration into that subconscious imprinting, into the energy that you've suppressed, into the record that plays in the background. You can do this in a couple different ways. We do this in my course using breath work, using journaling, especially at the end of every night. So when I tell people, when they start to go down the process of, well, who is this default self? I don't know what that subconscious beliefs are because I don't have access to them. But your life will always show you what your beliefs are. Meaning, just look at your life every day. What are the same circumstances that show up? What are the same feelings that you feel on a day-to-day basis? At the end of every night, write those down. Become the scientist of your life. Be like Sherlock Holmes, digging and digging and digging until you can get really, really clear on what those imprints are. You can think about some of the things that you heard all the time as a child from your parents. What are some common themes that they said? These can be empowering things, but for purposes of figuring out who your default self is, you want to look at the limiting things that have kept you trapped. So look at all the circumstances in your life that have shown up around money. And if you look at the common theme, which is you, the common theme is always going to be you. What are the beliefs that you tell yourself in those moments? When something happens normally, what's the story around it? What are you saying to yourself? Do you say, man, I can just never get ahead. Man, I have a really difficult time with money. Those are stories. These are default self-beliefs that you have imprinted in your brain. And when you know those, that means you can change them. How do we change them? We change them through repetition, and we change them through breath work. But the first step is taking radical responsibility, is understanding you are creating all of it, to not draw the line in the sand so that you can really become your own savior, your own guru. No one needs to heal you if you have the keys to your own freedom. All you need to do is know how to go inside and ask the right questions and then do the things necessary to re-imprint. The reason why we use breathwork in my course as a tool for working within the subconscious mind is because breathwork triggers the limbic system in the brain. The limbic system in the brain is where all that subconscious imprinting is. It's how you literally rewire your brain, and you can create these really ecstatic states. So we use different breathwork techniques to create these ecstatic states, to create releases of oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin so that your brain is literally becoming rewired. Also, with breathwork, we also utilize action steps. So that means in those moments, when those things are happening, we have to first become aware of them. So, what is this in me? And then you go on a journey of exploration on the inside. You journal about it. Journaling is one of the best things you can do. First of all, writing triggers your reticular activating system, your RAS. It tells your brain this is really important to pay attention to, which is programmed by your subconscious mind. So writing is a very powerful tool anytime you're working within your mindset and changing limiting beliefs. And so journal at the end of the night. Pay attention to the feelings. It's the feelings that matter. Pay attention to the feelings come up. And then when the feelings come up, you're thinking certain thoughts. How then are you behaving? How are you reacting? And then how are you behaving within the confines of those feelings and those beliefs and those thoughts that you're saying to yourself? When you can really, truly start to become aware of this. And here's the other really amazing part about breathwork. Breathwork will bring it up. Breathwork will always bring up those things that are subconscious, that are laying underneath the surface. Anything that's underneath the surface, the breathwork will bring up. You can't hide from breathwork. You can ask all of the women that have gone through my program. You cannot hide from breathwork. It will bring these things to the surface. But that is the beauty. If it's below the surface, you don't know it's there, it will continue to rule your life and you'll be unconscious to it. And you'll still just be the victim in your life. And everything that happens, you'll go, why is this happening to me? Instead of going, I know exactly why this is happening. I know why I'm creating this, because I have some belief attached to it. So after you ask yourself that question, you go on an exploration, you use breath work to re-imprint, to let go of old subconscious beliefs that don't serve you anymore, so that you can actually start behaving in a different way. When you behave in a different way and you think different thoughts, you show up differently, you feel differently, guess what happens? Your life changes. You become the conscious creator and the magic starts happening. You start actually getting sums of money in your bank account that don't go away when a bill comes because you're aware of that subconscious belief. So that is why that sentence and those 5 words are fundamental when you start taking spiritual principles and you create your reality and you're not a victim to your life, and you actually start applying them when the rubber meets the road. You can have all the amazing meditations in the world, you can have all the out of body, you can have all the mystical experiences. But if your life isn't changing, none of those things will matter. None of it will matter. You can do thousands of ayahuasca plant medicine ceremonies, but if it's not making a difference in your day-to-day life where it actually matters, because you are a human being living in a 3D world every single day, you might as well quit doing the plant medicine ceremonies because it's not working. This is where the rubber meets the road. When these things show up, you take radical responsibility and you start to shift them with your eyes open. So if you want more information, if that resonated with you, if you are in the place that you're like, shit, I am tired of being the victim. I'm tired of having all this knowledge. I'm tired of going to all these retreats. I'm tired of doing all of these things and nothing is shifting. I've tried using other modalities. I'm trying to shift. Like, I don't want to be like my parents that just screamed at me and told me how I was doing everything wrong. I don't want to do that, but I find myself doing that. How do I break these patterns? I want to break the generational patterns that have been alive for generations, obviously. I want to break that so my kids don't experience the same thing. So if you think that's you, click on the link below and set up a phone call to dive deeper into exactly the results you can expect. Even if you don't click on the link below, even if you think, I don't need a course right now, just start practicing this. Like if you just start integrating this and applying this into your life every day, I am telling you, the changes you will start to see will surpass anything that you've experienced before. You will see major shifts in your life. So I hope that helped. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you practice this. Let me know if you struggle with this. Let me know what you want to hear more of. I love you all. Thank you for listening and following. Go start applying where the rubber meets the road. Love you.